What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boys, and you are here for another episode of the Facts Project. Today, special guest, repeat guest, Ra'Chaun Rogers here from Lawful Evil Comics. And Ashley, I did not get your last name.
Hurwitz.
Ashley Hurwitz, both here from Lawful Evil Comics. Last time we got to talk about Dark Spider, we did not get a chance to talk with Ashley, but happily we are here, happy to have her here today. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks so much for having us. Really excited to chat today.
So first and foremost, I believe right now, we'll cut to the chase, that you are now, 1,400 right now, and you're about like less than 400 away from your goal. So I will give you a congratulations in advance.
Thank you so much. It's been a little bit of a crazy week.
Yeah.
So
understood. Look, so when we're talking about the world that both of you made, of course, I got to talk with Ra'Chaun in detail as to like the origins of Lawful Evil Comics. The description, of course, poured out as I'm reading it here is the world of Lawful Evil is one of sex, villainy, and vengeance, a superhero story featuring unlikely enemies that will unravel a conspiracy eons in the making, where the law and justice are two different things. Now, of course, juxtapose, you do dive a little bit into the supernatural, a lot.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that you've basically put an outpouring of that genre that I feel is missing in a lot of comics. So I felt that in Dark Spider, and I'm feeling that a lot in this one. If I could ask the both of you, why do you feel as though you have an interest in the supernatural? I'll start with Ra'Chaun first.
Oh, me? Okay.
You got this.
Yeah, my dad raised me on horror films. One of the things, The Thing, Halloween, Night of the Living Dead was one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid.
The original one or the Tony Todd one?
Both. I saw the original because I saw the original first, and then we watched the one. It came on like TBS or something with Tony Todd one, which was great. Bless the dead, Tony Todd.
Yes, sir.
My older brother, one of the first movies, he's babysitting me and my twin brother. I have twin brother the same age, obviously, and mom's not home and he's got Child's Play on or Puppet Master or Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's like I kind of grew up in that. So it always, it was always, I like superheroes, but I also like that stuff too. It always just made sense to me.
Ashley, same question.
Yeah, kind of similar story. Always been a pretty big horror fan. Also, just like grew up on like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Supernatural while it was still good, like Charmed. Although I'm totally aging myself by naming these TV shows.
No, that's quite all right. Did you feel like Supernatural was ever going to end?
I did. I was kind of shocked that they finally ended it. And then, of course, they did the spinoff, which I'm not watching, which I don't even know if it's still there. But I mean, it should have ended at like season 6 when he actually wanted to end it. But
it actually ended in like season 18.
Right. Yeah. I could talk about it forever, but I loved all those shows. And then like reading like Sandman, Constantine, Hellboy, all of those like really shaped me. And I love the supernatural characters that we get in like DC. Like we get Zatanna like interacting with Batman. So I've always been kind of like drawn to mixing a little bit of that like horror supernatural element and then like bringing it to our superhero universe in Lawful Evil.
Okay. Now when we talked about this before, Ra'Chaun, we talked about the fact that Dark Spider was pretty much the beginning of an expanded universe. So we saw like a few characters that kind of like broadened Lawful Evil exactly for what it is. And this kind of course, cherry picks off of that idea and expands it a little bit more. So when we get into this storyline of and if I'm saying it correctly, Pyre. Yep. So I remember a succubus by what did she go by a different name or this was her name?
Well, she's Succubabe. That's her
Succubabe.
superhero moniker.
Right.
So you don't really get to know her as Lily. I think she says it briefly to Dark Spider when they are like semi-introducing each other because they've been arch nemesis for so long, but behind the mask.
Yeah, they don't know.
So our Lawful Evil fans probably recognize the fiery redhead as Succubabe.
Yeah.
before she's going as Lily. This is about 30 years before issue one. She's over 300 years old, so she's had a couple monikers over time.
Yeah.
Now, am I to, of course, I guess come to the conclusion that there's a lot of mythology brought up within this character by itself. Basically, the surviving the what is it, the vestiges of an Eldritch God, blood-soaked past. So is this more so her origin story or just basically the world that she just jumps back and forth to within the Dark Spider universe?
The Lawful Evil
So
Universe.
yeah, so this is in the Lawful Evil Universe. This is very much part of her world. This is a little bit, you get to see a little bit of her origins. Since she is 300 years old, she's had quite a few jobs, I guess we would say, outside
Hmm.
of just like sucking out souls. And what you get in Pyre is a little bit of the machinations of what will come in Lawful Evil. Like,
Yeah.
why is she doing these things in Lawful Evil? You get to see some of those like fingerprints almost,
Hmm.
but also explore herself because she's a very mysterious character purposefully in the Lawful Evil series. And in this book, you do get to know her a little bit and at a different time in her life as well.
Mm. So why am I feeling as though that like she's almost she's almost like into intertwined into a fate that's going to happen to her in this whole thing. Like almost the fact that even though she's about 300 years old, she's pretty much been held captive for a very long time, or better yet, trying to escape from something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's basically it. It's it's kind of um there's a little, I guess, Greek tragedy in there. There's a little a lot of threads of fate and also personal stuff there where basically are we born to be who people, okay, this is who you're supposed to be, or is it, can we choose? Can I choose? Like, I'm not gonna, like, my dad was a carpenter, let's say.
Hmm.
Like, do I have to grow up and be a carpenter? Oh, no, I want to be an astrophysicist. Well, you
Right.
come from a family of carpenters. It's a similar thing. So it's kind of a fate that is a little more binding
Hmm.
because of the eldritch nature of the situation, but it's also something relatable. I think I feel
Hmm.
in that regard that you know we a lot of people deal with that. What does my future hold? Even for and you can imagine for a person who's 300 years old who's had a lot of future, right?
Yeah.
They've had a lot of future and they have a lot of past. That idea of facing a fate that it's like I can't, maybe you can't escape is probably horrifying in some ways.
Right. So, Lily, are you saying she's unconventional?
Yeah.
She is diving away from her own lineage, and she pretty much has to prove herself, even though there may be a couple unconventionalities to her personality. I mean, if we're talking about the Lawful Evil universe, it is a little bit more NSFW. And
Yep.
it's
Yep.
I mean, this might not be in the agreements of her parents, or better yet, her lineage as a whole,
Right.
but yet this is the story.
Yep.
How say you? What would you say is the differences between her and those that have came before her?
Ooh, it's
It's
a
a good
great
question. That
question.
is a good question.
Without saying too much,
Yeah.
she being who she is as a succubus, there's been a very certain expectation, and these beings that inhabit the lawful evil world that are of like this demonic, like succubi, incubi nature, are all working towards a certain goal.
Hmm.
And that goal I can't totally talk about right now.
Yeah. I'll spoil it.
And she's decided that this future that has been planned for millennia, and gods are involved, all sorts of mythology, she's decided I don't want that. And honestly, that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
and is the first person to really be like, wait a second, like, this is what we want, and has now forged this path, which is being blocked by this eldritch, the dying embers of this eldritch god who very much needs her to get back on track. So
Mm.
she's definitely abnormal in that sense from her lineage, as it were.
So I'm feeling like a quota has to be set amongst her. Like if she doesn't do her due diligence as, I guess, is she a demigod?
Um,
Is she
she
half?
is she's half human.
Yeah,
So
she's
she is a
only half
demigod.
She
human.
is half human.
She
So
somewhere in there, somewhere in that mixture.
there's a little special blood in there
Yeah,
that's
it's
makes
somewhere
her
in
a
that
little bit
mixture.
more powerful, a little bit more dangerous.
So that's
Right.
probably where the human factor comes in for her a lot, though. Basically, the difference of opinion that
Yeah,
tends to happen with her a lot.
Yes,
yeah,
and within that humanity, and we see this in Pyre, there's also a lot of self-loathing just because of how she was raised to treat and view humans,
yeah,
which you can kind of see. There's some pirate scenes if people have looked at the Kickstarter, and there's some other pirate scenes we didn't include that get to show you how these demon succubus uh, feel about the average mortal, as they would say.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, we talked about the supernatural in the beginning, but now that we're talking about it a lot more, there's a lot of mythology in this. Like,
Yeah.
what exactly drew the inspiration? Now I'm seeing it. Now you talked about this was parts Jennifer's body and Constantine, but now I'm seeing a lot of Odyssey in it, like Homer's Odyssey.
Ooh,
So I've
yeah,
been I've been saying to Ra for the past, I don't know, like years. I'm like, I'm really in my Odyssey era right now. I'm
yeah,
thinking about the Odyssey way more than I probably should.
Hmm.
Shout out to Epic the musical for making that happen. Everyone should go check it out. But I'm not getting paid to say that. It's just really good. And yeah, like there's a lot of lore, and especially in Lawful Evil, we have Anansi join us. Dark Spider himself is a descendant of Anansi.
yeah.
We're both huge mythology nerds,
Fans, yeah,
lore
yeah.
nerds. Like, so for us having a well delved lore and background is really important. But luckily, to like get into Pyre, a lot of that you'll learn, and like all the background stuff isn't, you can not know it and enjoy it. It's very accessible
Right,
despite our deep rootedness in
Mm.
our lore and mythos.
yeah. Uh, one of our main things that Ashes and I like to talk about is, the state of the comics themselves is, where do I start? A lot of
Right?
America, for the big two at least, where do I start?
It's American
And
mythology. Yeah.
right, Ashes likes to say wherever for Lawful Evil, for any of the comics, whether it be Dark Spider, Pyre, Lawful Evil, if there's a number one, you're in the right place. So we
Mhm.
don't we make it easy accessible. You can jump in without having to have read any of them. If you want to read all of them, that's great. If you want to read one, if you want to read whatever the case is, but as long as it's the number one, we want to make that more accessible. And as Ashley said, there's the Pyre lore um kind of expands out of the first issue of Pyre. So
Mm.
you'll learn the journey of the lore as she's walking through it almost.
It's funny because I remember, of course, reading Lawful Evil issue one
Mm-hmm.
and looking at Succubabe and just thinking that she was just going to be this uh on occasion side character that pops up and just tortures his day. But yet now when I'm reading through Pyre and reading through the summary of Pyre, I'm finding out that like branches pretty much have grown into a character that I at the moment of me reading it I didn't think there was that much depth. But now I'm like, okay, because ever so often she jumps back and forth between
Yeah,
dimensions. And
yeah,
when she did pop out, it was like, you know, I'm just here to have some fun. But yet, it's like little did we know that she comes from a place where she's always escaped to, and I keep saying the same key word, unconventional fashion. She felt like this was like her only ways to escape. She felt like she'd been trapped for so long that like when she got out, I got to do everything now.
yeah.
Yeah, very
So
much.
explain, even though we're looking at this as pretty much sort of an origin story, where do we find the fact that still at the bottom of this, at the root of this, she is essentially a villain?
I feel that
That's a
if
good question.
people pick up Pyre, they'll learn pretty quickly that she might not be the best person ultimately. We may
Yeah.
root for her and we may enjoy some of the things that she's doing, but she is a villain and she's very much motivated by it's selfishness, but obviously selfishness towards a goal that we all would want, our own
Yeah.
freedom, our own ability to live as we want. So she's an interesting character in that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost, I guess, due to the fact that she's a villain and she's kind of having like a release the shackles moment.
Yeah.
Is there such thing as being too free?
That's
Great
a good
question.
question. That's a great question. Yeah, so you guys got the great questions. I guess I guess I could I I guess it depends on a person's nature, and I don't want to say based on their nature, but their intention. Um, with Lily, if we keep it in that way, Lily, you see the loathing because she's like half demon or what have you, and half human. So it's
Hmm.
like I was raised to think that humans were beneath us, right?
Right.
She sees this, but then there's like this. We'll see other aspects of her, but then she's also like, if you read in it, you can see her. She doesn't necessarily want to be bad per se. She's
Hmm.
just selfish, I guess. She's,
Okay.
as people are in that manner. And I guess her form of freedom is better than the freedom that other entities in the story would want for the human race.
Hmm.
So it's I guess it's by degrees. It's like, you know, it's like bad meets evil or something,
Yeah.
like it's like her she just wants to have fun and live her life, right? That's
Right.
her freedom.
She's treats, I guess, when if you want to call it Earth, when
Right.
she enters Dark Spider's universe, it's almost like this is my little playground.
She's has fun. Yes, she's having fun there, and as you can see her having fun there. But I think her freedom is like, all right, maybe I hurt somebody by accident, or especially now as she's older,
Right.
I'm not gonna hurt somebody. I'm not like gonna be a serial killer or anything or start,
Hmm.
this kind of thing. But it's like, just let me do me. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I
Hmm.
just want to have my brand of fun. Whereas other people are like, I want to take the whole thing over or whatever. I want to do whatever I want to do. And
Hmm.
so I guess the answer to my answer in a roundabout way to your question is, I think it depends on your intentions. Her intentions is basically just, it's like Animal House 24/7. If she had
Yeah.
her way, just, hey, having a party, as opposed to, I don't know, like a Joker kind of character or something where his freedom is
Right.
like,
Right.
oh, ew, whoa.
And I get that fact, and I pose this to you, Ashley, because that's almost like a two-part question because it's like, okay, she's she still is a villain in this story, but she's trying so hard to cut the tether. How much of her personality and who she is as a demigod is still a god wanting to conquer all, still seeing humanity for what it is, even if you want to play with it.
Yeah. Um, it's very cat and mouse.
Hmm.
She's the cat. She sees Earth. She sees humanity, and it's like, wow, I like it here. You guys have fun. You have booze. You have drugs, sex,
Hmm.
orgies.
But I could take
Love it.
this over whenever I want.
Exactly. And a succubus has certain powers as well. So she's a
Right.
beautiful woman. She can
Yeah.
definitely get some people on her side. And there is that urge and there is that kind of backward or background turmoil in her where it's like, I could destroy this and I could probably destroy this city, but I like my apartment. I have really cool stuff and there won't be people to have orgies with if I destroy this city. So
Interesting.
Not so much just sex based, but just to
But
like, the base desires of a succubus. She still has
Okay.
to like feed,
feed,
like she
yeah.
still needs sustenance and
Stuff.
that,
Uh,
keep up
uh,
her powers and everything.
right. Does she still feel like there's a portion of her that could get snatched back into this? She's escaped, if I'm reading the description correctly, a fate millennia in the making. The knowledge, what does it say? Will her 300 years of knowledge be enough to escape a fate millennia in the making? Does she feel that at any point in time she can get pretty much torn right back into her world and stay there?
Yeah, very much so. And we see that in Pyre, where there is the hands closing around her and she's fighting. She's very much one of the titles for this that I was thinking about for a while was A Woman Out of Time,
Hmm.
because this is very much a story about someone who is out of time in so many ways. She's old, she has all this knowledge, she has all this wisdom. She's out of time in the sense that there's something closing in on her and she's ignored it for too long. And now it's here and she has to act quickly and she needs to do it fast and just keep moving. So, very much afraid of, and you can see that in Pyre where there's a scene where there's a moment where she's almost, there's some body horror,
Yeah.
and she's being pulled, in a certain direction and she's able to fight it. And
Mm,
yeah, so that it's very much on theme and very much discussed in Pyre itself.
okay. Ray Sean, I feel like the period placement plays a heavy portion into this as well. There's a good portion of this story that lives into the time of pirates. Why is that?
That's an Ash that's an Ashley question. But I could
No.
it's I think also as Ashley mentioned, the woman out of time is also a reference to, or that idea behind it is also a reference to,
Wait,
like Captain America.
is
But
is there time jumps in this?
yeah,
That's okay.
that's
I'm
what
sitting
those
there looking at it.
are.
I'm like,
That's
okay,
what those are. Yeah, that's
I
what those
get it
are.
now.
That's what
Okay.
those are. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
time jumps. So that's that. It's like Hellboy in that
Hmm.
manner, where Hellboy we could have a Hellboy story in 1986 and then in 1956 and 19, this and this. It bounces around, and part of her life, and as you can see, where kind of she got her initial education on humanity, as it were, was
Mm,
in that high age of pirates, was in that golden age of adventure, where you can see her just her and the crew having their way. It's just, again, these people, these are
right.
humans, are beneath us.
Yeah, I was
They
about to say she picked a period of time where humanity was kind of at its worst.
one of them, yeah, one of the worst times.
Mhm.
And it's definitely also kind of a, if you get your education on humanity from
Hmm.
that period of time, it's like, oh, like y'all are killing each other, enslaving each other, y'all are, all of this stuff, and you know, all of this, y'all doing all this horrible stuff to each other. Of course we're above you,
Yeah,
because this is your nature. Your nature is horrible, is filthy,
and violent.
is violent, right? And so that's kind of where her education comes from, and we wanted to center part of that in a portion that is, again, like you said, in that age where it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't, people were less civilized, I guess you could say,
Right.
by some degrees. So it kind of, we're kind of showing you how she was shaped in that era, because in that particular part of the story, she's younger, much
Yeah.
younger. And it, that's, again, that's, she's a kid and she's learning this stuff, and it's like, well,
Right.
this is your world. And she, old lessons die hard, right? So
Yeah.
she's she still kind of sometimes harkens back to that a little bit.
So to piggyback off of what you just said,
Mhm.
and Ashley, you can jump in on this. If I'm looking at this correctly, you have a god who has more than likely been pampered because she's going to inherit something someday that more than likely she doesn't want. And the her first glimpse of escaping, jumping out into humanity is almost a culture shock because she's met with the most debauchery type of human beings known to man,
Yeah.
if not even worse. But at the end of the day, she's still who she is, who she is. How does she come to terms with what humanity is and her possible control? Because she is a succubus over, I guess, a power over them.
Yeah, I mean, at first, there's a very good chunk of time where she revels in it and loves the power and just the debauchery of it all. And then slowly it becomes less and less interesting to her, and she starts to actually seclude herself from humanity because of what is possible of happening. Is she going to, like, just a euphemism of like turning dark, like
Hmm.
she's killing people, she's killing like crappy pirates and like bad people and things like that. But like, is she gonna start doing worse that what her lineage wants of her?
Hmm.
And it's very much explored, and yeah, you don't see so much of some of the seclusion. She is can't cover the full 300 years in 28 pages, but
Right.
It's only issue one.
there it's just issue one, but you guys will see it. There is a time where she secludes herself out of protection almost of
Hmm.
humanity and just kind of enjoys wealth quietly. I have enough money, I'm 300, like vampire rules, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm 300 years old, I have a bunch of relics, whatever, like I have money. Like, I don't need to worry about it. And because of the Eldritch God kind of gaining power, returning, that's what forces her back into society. Is, well, I need to go back into society and figure out what to do about this because I can't figure this out on my own. Like, this is something in my blood. So that's that millennia is, this God that's been around since, you know, when light created, basically, not to get Christian because it's definitely not a Christian thing. But
Right, right, right.
um, but like this elder God. And how do you outsmart him? How do you outsmart something that's so powerful, that's more powerful than you? And that's what pushes her back into humanity. And that's why she's looking at relics and looking at puzzle boxes, trying to decide, what have humans done that I have ignored? And that is something that is investigated in this first issue.
That is
Yep.
a very twisted Ariel tale. She just wanted to figure out what a comb was, and she thought it was a fork. I get
Exactly.
it. Now, I can imagine because if this was her first glimpse of humanity, when she entered the Lawful Evil universe and gets met with Dark Spider and everybody else there, and realizing in a sense that there are other gods out there that have also entered this world, it's almost exciting to her.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. Like, she's been on Earth in this dimension for some time, and since there are like superheroes and stuff, she can kind of almost camouflage herself in this city that Dark Spider lives in. We have all sorts of heroes and villains, so it's like, oh, it's some kind of weird demon chick villain, whatever.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
can kind of just blend in. So it was definitely a exciting time for her to go from just kind of laying low, doing her own thing to like, oh, I'm actually this villainess that's doing weird things to this city, like
Right.
having sex with, all sorts of different people and not just that, but all sorts of things.
Using different spells and what have you.
Spells and
Yeah.
different things.
It's
And
kind of like Lestat when he first arrived in New Orleans.
yeah,
Yes,
a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like he was like, I I could just bring everybody back to this house, have parties, everybody
Yeah.
sit there
exactly.
having a good time. But in the end of the day, y'all are food.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and I think also her being able to kind of hide in plain sight, because she was raised in the age of pirates, and then she reemerged in to humanity almost at the cusp of the age of heroes, right?
Hmm.
The
Yep.
beginning of, almost the beginning of it. So, and it's kind of like, oh, this, like Ashley said, this demon chick, nobody's gonna bat an eye because there's a guy running around with a fiddle that uses magic music and a this and a that, all these
Hmm.
kind of, different things that it's like, oh well, I can do what I need to do and research and everything like that under the radar
Right.
because I'm not the only person who has special abilities anymore. There's a bunch of people. And so all they all be lumped in the same place. Like, oh, you're just whatever.
I'm
So
gonna
there's
say,
a
does she feel a certain way that she's like when it comes to find out that there's a lot more like it's more technical beings out there? Does she like see amongst herself, be like, damn, I'm not the only one out here?
A little bit. I think there's a curiosity about it because it's
Mhm.
something that wasn't always present
Right.
Right.
in like this world. It's something that slowly, there's started to be all these different people with abilities that started to pop up, versus like it being more in the shadows kind of thing.
Yeah, and a lot of based on the lore we have, a lot of the stuff that the gods and demigods and things like that that we have, we're doing, especially due to the lack of global communication. We're in the
Hmm.
shadows. You'd see something on an island, and it's like, well, that just happened on my island, or this just happened here, or this just happened here, and it's local folklore or whatever the case is. But now you have cell phones, and you have this, and you have that, and it's like, oh, not everybody knows, everybody can see it, everybody can absorb this information, as
Hmm.
opposed to the world got smaller, I guess. It got larger, but it got smaller. And so, you know, it's it's one of those things where it it always takes some getting used to for her. And it always takes some getting and but it's also again, she like Ashley said, there's curiosity there. So it's like, okay, well, maybe there are some superheroes that we as we meant we have in our some scripts that we have that
That
she
was
gets
going to
to
be my
play
next
with,
question.
that she gets to test out, as
Yeah,
it
because
were.
I remember that first issue of Dark Spider, and we got introduced to a few people.
Yeah.
So with the expansion of, the Lawful Evil universe,
Hmm.
like, do we have our heart set on two main focal characters to kind of like push this universe forward and then introduce ourselves to some side characters, or are we jumping right back into another origin story with another character going forth, maybe in like this next issue?
Oh, that's a
I
good.
can go.
That's a good question. Our next Dark Spider and Succubabe, Dark Spider and Lily are they're our best of frenemies. They're the two kind of, I guess, objects that move in our universe. And there will be other stories, there'll be other characters. We do have plans for other stories, other genres in the universe, because that's
Yeah,
we wanted it to be alive, we wanted it to be breathing. Our next project, should I tell issue 4?
Yeah,
We're looking forward to issue 4. Oh,
no, I was just gonna say issue 4 is in production. If you
yeah,
want to talk about issue 4,
yeah,
we each did a solo story. We plan on continuing them. I know that we both have scripts in
yeah.
progress with
mm-hmm,
Pyre 2 and Dark Spider 2.
yep,
Both are a lot of fun to read,
yeah,
but still forming. And Lawful Evil is gonna move forward next with issue 4. But yeah, like we have a lot of really cool ideas, and since we have supernatural, we have sci-fi, there's so many cool things to explore. We can go into space, um, you know, check out something going on over there. I don't have
yeah,
anything right now because we haven't talked about it a lot,
Right,
yeah.
right,
but
right.
But
like
we
these
have,
are things that we'd love to do, and we're both, sci-fi nerds as well.
yeah.
So that could be something in our future. But Ra, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, no, it's okay, it's okay. Thank you for that. But because Lawful Evil, I always like to say we give you time to think, but not time to breathe. Lawful Evil issue 1 to 2 to 3 was kind of like, again, a car rolling downhill, mess around and find out. And the reason we did the solo projects is to
Hmm.
kind of give people more backstory on these two characters that are
It
kind of
definitely added depth. I will
yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
right, adding some depth to the characters that are right now running for their lives in the main story. you know. And so um we we will do that eventually for you know, there's other characters who we think need more depth, or I wouldn't say need more depth, we want to add more depth to them, I should say. We want to
Hmm.
add more depth to them, and we will be doing that eventually. But we're also still moving forward with the main story as it goes, as it becomes this nonstop car ride down a hill with no brakes, um, on a very steep hill with no brakes. So,
Hmm.
but the Dark Spider 2 and Pyre 2 are in the works. So
Okay.
those stories will be, you know, we're not going to just leave people hanging and be like, oh, this is this issue one. And then, you know,
Bye.
yeah, bye. Some creators of, it's, you know,
It
we
does
decided not
happen.
to do it, you know, and it's unfortunate, but
It is unfortunate because it's like
we
a cut
don't,
off of the story.
right. We don't plan on
Pause.
doing that. We don't plan on doing. We plan on keeping everything moving, and the branches of this tree for the seed that we planted. The main tree is the lawful evil, and the branches are dark spider and pyre. But there's other branches that we're gonna,
Hmm.
you know, that'll come out of that. So we plan on giving people more, um, you know, giving people more and some fruits of that tree,
Hmm.
uh, coming soon. You know, coming hopefully sooner than later, I should say.
Yeah.
Do we expect Lily to is there a cameo in this any whatsoever of her father? Is there going to be like a Raven and Trigon moment from Teen Titans?
Ooh.
Okay, all right, all right. I ain't
I
say
don't want to
anything. I ain't
spoil
saying
it.
anything.
Don't
You don't
want to
I'm
want to.
not
say
saying anything.
anything.
I don't want to spoil it, but that's you. That's the mood there. That's the vibe there.
Okay,
Somewhere.
because I feel as though, we've been very vague on how we describe him.
Right,
We've called him a guy. We called him an Eldritch God. We just haven't said his
right,
name. So
right.
it's very interesting how that's going to be the layup going
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this first issue. So
Yeah.
when we're talking about um the artwork going into this series, now did you utilize some of the same artists that you've also used for Dark Spider, or because I'm seeing like there's a vast array of packaging going into Pyre, as opposed, like
yeah,
to the left.
yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to say that they put some money in you guys' hands or you reach out to some more artists or anything like that. But the packaging, I'm like, there's a lot of art here. If you can, shout out the creative team.
Thanks.
Oh,
Yeah. Shan, Betty and Anambi draws on like everywhere, Twitter, Tumblr. They did such an amazing job. They're the artist and letterer. They did arts, they did colors, lines, everything. And then they also did the lettering.
yeah,
And it was such an amazing collaboration with them. They're so talented. I found them through Tumblr and I just immediately fell in
Nice.
love with the art style. And I was just like, man, like if I hadn't even written Pyre at this point, I just had like had them in the back of my brain. And I was just like, I don't know, they got to do something with Lily. I don't know what it is yet, but like, I'm just going to keep bookmarking them like to the side. And we were lucky enough, they're very busy, booked to busy, love to see it. And we were lucky enough to reach out to them. And they loved the script, they loved the project. And it was an absolute pleasure to work with them. And yeah, we also have Martin Patron in the back of the book. We always love to give away some of our pinups and like commissions we do.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So if you get the digital PDF or anything like that, you'll all get a safer work pinup gallery of our gal. And Martin Patron, who did issue 3 and Dark Spider #1, we have a pinup from him. We have a pinup from the wonderful Magic Moon arts that I hope
Yep,
everyone enjoys their amazing talent because you may see more of them in the future.
yeah,
Big
somewhere,
wink.
Okay.
somewhere.
Um, and Aortic Inkwell did a really amazing piece that was like very Amano
Yeah,
inspired
right, Final
if you love
Fantasy
Final
type, yeah.
Fantasy. So yeah, we were really lucky to work with some awesome artists. And if you're a Lawful Evil fan, you should see some familiar faces. But this was the first time working with Shan on a project, and we loved it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, when you're writing a script that is and this is I guess it might be a two-part question. When you're writing a script that is more so like NSFW, is it difficult to tell an artist, be like, hey, the story is going to go this way, uh, and they're like, What do you mean? It was like, well, there's a little bit of NSFW into it, and or is that what you're looking for when you were looking like for these Tumblr artists? Were you looking for that specific style that they were doing and be like, okay, this would incorporate well with my book?
Yeah, definitely. Making sure the artist is comfortable with some of the more not safe for work nature is definitely the first question that we
Right.
basically ask,
Yeah.
unless they post something and we're like, oh, you
You,
are okay with this.
yeah.
And Shan had been mostly posting safe for work things, so I wasn't even sure if they would be interested in, something that a little naughty.
Hmm.
Thankfully they were.
Good.
And but yeah, that's like one of the first questions. We like to be upfront and let people know, the brand is, for mature adults, or for the grown and sexy, as we like to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that's like probably one of the first things we say is just like, hey, like this is some of the like larger kind of things that happen. Like, are you
Right.
cool? Luckily I feel like we're on the more tame side, but maybe I'm
Yeah,
maybe
no,
I'm
I agree because we not to get too much into it, but from artists looking at artists, and this goes kind of into it. We dwell in both worlds in the I guess more professional, semi-professional indie comic stuff,
Yeah.
and then the not safe for work stuff, like world. And we've seen artists, just researching and trying to say, okay, who would be good for a promotion or this or that or the case. And I think we're a lot more tasteful. I don't want to. I don't. I'm not disrespecting anybody. I don't want to, but tasteful in terms of
You're,
it's
you
not
you have a story.
right. Exactly
yeah,
right.
it's
That's
not
what I.
just
It's not just sex.
not that
It's
Right.
there's anything wrong with that. We love those
no,
comics
no.
too,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
there's something to read in between the other things people may be doing.
Right.
Got you.
It's like reading it. It's like, oh, there's a story. Oh, what a nice bonus. Sex. It's like what a nice surprise. Like I was enjoying this story, but there's a bonus here too. Like we. That's who we are.
Yeah.
Got you. Now, we're coming up on the end of the year. Of course, this campaign has what 17 days to go, about like 2 more weeks. What do
Hmm.
Yeah.
we expect as far as the calendar going into 2025 from Lawful Evil Comics?
Uh.
Uh really
Oh, what's the
exciting
No.
stuff.
No. No. We
Give
got. We
me a
got.
uh
minute to think.
We
I
got. No. We got. Oh, go
uh
ahead.
no, go for it.
We have plans, this past year, we did a lot of our first year of like a lot of conventions.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, we're looking into that because that's another way to create a fan base and it's great to connect with a fan base. We've had people at conventions, oh yeah, I follow you guys. Or like, yeah, I bought your first issue. I didn't know you guys that
Hmm.
stuff is amazing. So we're, looking into that. And that's especially we're in the tri-state area. We're in, the Eastern Seaboard. We're in Jersey.
So you're close to
So
New York Comic
it's
Con, you're close to Brooklyn
right,
Comic Con.
Exactly.
right. Brooklyn we loved, but
Brooklyn
but
shows a lot of love.
yeah, but you also have to, expand.
Yeah,
You try to expand, and that can be, that's a lot of planning and a lot of,
that's
travel,
costly.
and it is costly
Yeah,
also. So
pretty expensive.
yes, so we're looking. So we said, we're looking into that, into getting all of those ducks in a row in terms of where are we gonna go next? Where are we gonna go next? Where are we gonna? We're revisiting places. We're going places we haven't been in terms of conventions. So
Yep.
that's one of the things. Hopefully issue 4. Well,
I think
issue 4
I think issue
should be
four
out.
will land. I've got
We'll land about
got good
yeah,
feelings.
yeah.
Mhm.
Landing in 2025. So maybe some other stuff. Smaller projects or more. Lawful evil centric projects, but just maybe some stuff that's a little different.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we plan on keeping it rolling, keeping moving forward in terms of with this universe and expand and not only keeping track with the main stories, but also working on the expansion with Pyre and Dark Spider as well and other other characters.
Okay. All right. Hey, I appreciate the both of you doing this with me. Word.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having us.
This has been real good. So, Pyre-Burial, let's see, issue one is live on Kickstarter. 17 days left to go. Ra'Chaun Rogers, Ashley Hurwitz for Lawful Evil Comics. Thank you for doing this. Look forward to seeing what you guys coming up with next year. Once again, Congratulations in advance because there's only what 100. No, I'm looking at this wrong. $373 left in your campaign and your
Real
goal.
close.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
we're real
I,
close, and
I
we
expect that
and
to be off the board probably like in a week. I'm going to say that,
yeah,
especially in the final week of the campaign, because that tends to
Yeah,
be like the
towards it.
bulk of the goals that pretty much happen in there. So
yeah.
congratulations to you both. Look
Thank
forward to
you,
seeing what's happening next year. Thank you too for being here with me. All
and
right. So everybody here at the Facts Project, once again, Ra'Chaun Rogers, Ashley Hurwitz, Lawful Evil Comics. Go see Pyre-Burial at Sea, issue
and if you
one. Go
if
ahead.
you oh sorry no if you're following it,
Mhm.
now's the great time to actually put your pledge in.
We got stretch
Um,
goals,
we got
Yep.
stretch goals. We
mini
got it.
comic.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got cover reveals coming up. A lot of stuff. So if you're we got a lot of people following. We know it's holiday time and everything, but
Yeah.
make sure you get that. Make sure you pledge, and we got a lot for y'all.
Yeah. Now, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you guys as far as like the bundles of some of the titles that have happened before Pyre, how can they do
Hmm.
so?
We're on Global Comics. You can actually read the first
Nice.
issue of Lawful Evil for free.
Love Global Comics.
Issue 2 is also on there, and I'll get issue 3 up there pretty soon. It just takes me a
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
And then we're also on Gumroad. You can get all the digital issue 1, 2, and 3. Dark Spider is PDF is available through Pyre currently. So if you
Yeah.
guys missed out on Dark Spider, check out Pyre. You can pick it up there. And this isn't where you can find us, but we're going to be fulfilling that soon. So if you back Dark Spider, get really excited. Those physical comics are going to head to you.
Books are on their
But
way.
we're also in Forbidden Planet in New York City. Lawful Evil 1, 2, and 3 should be available there. We sell out a lot, so people got to go check it out. But yeah, and we're kind of still on Twitter, mostly on Blue Sky, Instagram, and we're on TikTok now.
TikTok.
So
Yep.
check us out
Nice.
on TikTok. We got some cool videos.
Looking forward to it, man. So congratulations to both of y'all. I know it's been a big year and everything like that. Of course, this being the end of the year with a couple titles out, it gives y'all a good head start going into the next year. So good luck with that.
Yes, thank
Thank
you
you,
so
man.
much.
Absolutely. So for everybody here at the Facts Project, James Grandmaster Facts Boys, Ashley Hurwitz, Ra'Chaun Rogers, Lawful Evil Comics, we are out.